Okay, first of all, I did not know Nico was in this movie. Like Nico from The Velvet Underground and Nico and Chelsea Girl and Desert Shore and all those way overly done Andy Warhol movies. I did not know she was in this movie. If I had known, I would have seen this way before than, now. I fucking love her. I can't believe she's actually in this movie. Okay, La Dolce Vita. La Dolce Vita, la Dolce, so Vita's life, La is or the, and I guess Dolce is sweet. So the sweet life. I'll be honest, this is the shit I live for. I fucking love this movie. Now, actually last week, I for the first time I saw Michelangelo Antonioni's La Ventura, which is a extremely bleak portrayal of marriage, relationships, done in amazing settings, amazing cinematography. But my God, I thought it was so boring. The music was so minimally used, and I can see, like, on a technical standpoint, when it comes to cinematography and using the setting as a three-dimensional, background, La Ventura is easily one of the most revolutionary films ever made. But I cannot watch it, just sitting down calmly, kind of bringing it all in an entertaining way. I can't do that. But La Dolce Vita, I'm just gonna stop trying to pronounce it properly. So it's La Dolce Vita. I'll just kind of La Dolce Vita. La Dolce Vita, is almost the exact opposite. It's overflowing with music. There's so much passion in it. There's still, at the same time, there's still genuine pathos, and the cynicism within the film, because it is a very cynical movie at times, is well formed. And right now I'm really just trying to get into this neo-realist, new wave of Italian cinema that kind of started to happen in the late 50s to the mid 60s. So you got like people like Rossellini, Fellini, Antonioni's, some other Linis, and whatever. La Dolce Vita is really good. I'm just gonna say it. It's really good. I can see why Roger Ebert liked it better than 8.5 when it comes to Fellini movies. I'm not sure if it's up there for me right now, but it's easily the second best, if it's not better than 8.5, because 8.5 is way too good. So let's get the technical stuff out of the way, because the film is more of a thematic beast. Let's get the technical stuff out of the way. It looks amazing. Of course, it's new wave Italians. It's a fucking new wave movie. Of course, it's gonna look amazing. There are just these devastatingly intense shots. There's this one shot that I really liked where in the middle of the screen, there's a long hallway, and at the end, you see this woman on the phone trying to get a connection to her lover, who's not answering the phone, and the walls are all bare. The ground is kind of musky. There's a mop kind of like leaning on the wall, and it's just focusing on her. This bareness is all focused on her, and we can just feel the loneliness. And of course, it's mostly set in Rome, and Rome's basically a built-in perfect movie set, alongside like the gritty alleyways of New York, the neon lights of Tokyo, and maybe some like decent suburban grounds in Korea, and definitely, the whole of LA. Rome is one of the world's built-in movie sets. It just looks amazing. And of course, there's that great contrast between Hollywood imagery and dirty realistic settings. The Hollywood imagery would be the blue screen shots when they're in the car, and the dirty realistic settings would be when the Madeleine and the main character Marcello are, they're having sex in the house of a prostitute. Stuff like that. It's just like this sudden contrast, and these two things happen right after the other one. Like, at first, we see them in the car, there's that cheesy blue screen in the back, and then the next scene, they're having sex in the prostitute's house, and the prostitute is not even into sex. So, you got that shit going on, and there's, of course, the music. Everybody talks about the music. There's no way I cannot talk about the music. It's fucking Nino Rota. Nino Rota, the guy who composed most of Fellini's work. He composed The Godfather. no, that was some other guy. So to me, this soundtrack of La Dolce Vita is easily like up there as some of the best movie soundtracks of all time, alongside Star Wars, Valerie and her Week of Wonders. It's easily some of the best. It's like it works as an album, which is the sign of a good movie soundtrack. Now, now we got the technical stuff out of the way. Let's actually get into the themes. To be perfectly honest, there is no story here. It's really, there's not even a vivid character arc. It's definitely episodic portrayals of an entertainment. It's an episodic portrayal of an entertainment columnist, and it at first, right off the bat, it really just portrays the glamour of his life. There's like Elvis imitators trying to sing his songs. Like this one guy sings, like I'm ready, Teddy, I'm ready. I can't remember the title of the song. That like where Elvis sings about being ready to rock and roll. There's like these lavish parties, beautiful men and women, paparazzis following them everywhere. Lust conquering love, vanity conquering family life. And there's just extreme uses of contrast to make sure the audience sees this glamour in the most glamorous light possible. Every time it shows you some taste of life outside of this glamorous entertainment world, it's usually very silent. There's not a lot of talking going on. The settings are usually very barren. Like I said, the focus is all on the characters. So when the settings bare, the characters feel lonely and bare. When the settings are glamorous as all hell and just filled with so many things to look at, the characters suddenly seem glamorous as well. And Fellini's cinematography really makes that work. So real life, glamour, silence, noise and music. This contrast keeps on going in this movie, and it just makes normal life seem so much more shittier than it really is. And it really does, because of all of this, it really emphasizes the fact that people who are enjoying this life are really enjoying it. They're loving this. They love these parties. They love these conversations. But Fellini comes in around the hour mark in the film, or maybe even the first part. I'm not really sure. It's the first time I'm seeing this. So Fellini comes in to basically say, there's more to this. There's more to this glamour. There's more to this party. And it's not as good as it seems. There's always the hangovers in life. And as the film progresses, we see exactly what he's trying to do. And because, let's talk about the main character first. It's very similar to some of the portrayals of vain characters in 70s New York movies. So, like, All That Jazz would be a very good example. So the main character, Marcello, played by an actor named Marcello. I think most of these actors are actually, the characters are, I think most of them are actually playing themselves to a certain extent. He doesn't really appreciate what he has, because he has a lover, this woman who's like always around. She's always trying to get a phone call to him, and she's, even when he's being the biggest jerk in the whole world, she still stays with him, but he never appreciates it. And that's because he feels like this kind of normal love, this real life love, would basically make him normal, complacent in life. It will make him feel a bit aged, and basically he admits that he fears his own mortality, which makes him go to these parties and these conversations and these restaurants and these bars, because he thinks these parties would keep him alive. That energy, like I said, the grand settings, these beautiful men and women, it all feeds him. And then there's like the father figure who comes, no, not the literal father figure, his father visits him, and as they keep on having this conversation, this French girl comes in, and the father starts talking to her more. And then he goes to her apartment. And it just suddenly shows that even the father would rather have time with women. Obviously, this is more of a hereditary thing. And hereditary? I think it's hereditary. It's not hereditary, so hereditary thing, and it really emphasizes the father's absence, and maybe that's why the main character is so cynical and so, bleak. Maybe that's why he has such a bleak vision of life. And when his lover is in the hospital, he calls the woman he had an affair with last night, and she doesn't answer. So this suddenly, but slowly starts to show what this glamour really is. For the moment, it looks great, it feels great, it seems like something you want to be a part of. But there's no human connection there. There's no genuine emotion going on. Nobody really loves each other. And when they do say it, it's just a momentary thing. It just passes by. Real human emotion seems like such a, momentary thing. It's never concrete. It's never concise. It's just there. Maybe it's artistic, but it just blows away. And slowly, every single portrayal of the party they're in starts to have a sort of shape. It starts to form a shape that's really not that appealing. It's still filled with beautiful people. But not only can they not communicate, because some of them only speak English and some of them only speak Italian, but there's a lot of embarrassment going on, a lot of harassment going on, and most of the time they're just sitting and they're just stiff. They're just drinking and eating. They're not really doing anything. They're not really looking at each other. They're just looking into blank space. There's this great shot of these three people at a party. This woman is just staring right into the camera, and these two men are looking to the side. Nobody's looking at each other. And the film progresses to show various people within this glamorous world. Obviously there are people like Madeleine or Nico who are just like these glamorous figures in this. And there's a lot of people. But then we see like deep artists who live alone, and some like dumb, tall, big-breasted blonde women in bad relationships, even though they're like ditzy and happy, and even though they get upset for like the smallest things, and you feel like, surely this person cannot be tortured and glamorous at the same time in this society. No, she's also in a very just a horrible relationship, and you can easily see how she's kind of part of this self-torturing society of glamour, and there's married guy who's basically haunted by new burdens and fear because he needs to take care of the children now, and this basically ends up with him killing himself and the children. He can't bear it. So even when somebody within the society finds certain amount of like a smidgen of happiness and some settlement within the real life context of life, I'm not really sure what I'm talking about at this point, but even when he finds a family and a somewhat normal life, fears and burdens are still there. This time they're new, they're fresh, so you don't really know how to deal with them anymore. Then there's like femme fatale figures who say they love you, and then they just, right after they say they love you, they just kiss someone else right away. So the word love is basically just an empty thing. And there's this, at the end, there's this innocent country girl basically being embarrassed at a party. And that would be the figure who would represent people who think this entertainment glamour is the greatest thing in the whole world, so they get into it, and they just end up, getting tortured emotionally and getting embarrassed through the process of people trying to show out their ego and their self-centeredness. And Fellini uses a lot of great symbolism and imagery for just to make sure you understand how empty it is and how everybody else in the world sees this glamour. Because basically what Fellini does is he puts you inside this world and he makes you understand that this is not as good as you think it is. But then he also gives you how other people see this world. So there's this scene where Marcello is trying to take this like dumb, big, tall, blonde actress to her hotel room, and they visit some little like, I think they're visiting a fucking gas station, and he goes in, and like at the counter, this woman looks at the actress and says, "Oh, isn't she that American actress that I've heard about?" And Marcello says, "Yes," and she's like, "Oh, she's so pretty." So everybody in the outside world thinks this glamorous entertainment world is the shit. They think it's the greatest thing ever made, and that's why all the paparazzis are all around. But when they show you the dark side of this entertainment industry and this society and these kinds of people, the paparazzis are still all around us. So even though the world sees that glamour at its lowest form, people still think it's glamorous. People still romanticize about it. So basically what Fellini's doing is giving shit towards both sides. He's giving shit towards the glamorous entertainment industry by showing the flaws in it, and he's giving shit towards the, just the normal complacent people of the world, thinking that this entertainment industry is the greatest thing ever made. And he uses symbolic imagery, like at the end there's this dead fish, which probably, right off the bat, symbolizes the glamour that he's been portraying throughout the whole film. Because there's this one character from the party who says she wants to buy it. Maybe she sees herself in it. Or maybe I'm thinking too much about that scene. And yet, while we watch this film, and while we understand what's going on, and while we see the dark side of the entertainment industry, we slowly become hypocrites. Because like I said, the film looks amazing. The men and women are beautiful. The food looks amazing. The places they have parties in look amazing. And even though they're just sitting around, you while you're watching the movie, you're slowly starting to feel this strange feeling that you just want to sit around with them. And you are kind of, astounded from the glamour. That the glamour really does amaze you, and you want to be a part of it. Even though that would make you a fucking hypocrite, but it does. But it does look really good and really fun. And I think that's why the last scene of this movie, which is one of the best last scenes in any movie ever made, is so powerful. There's this little girl that the main character met before in the film, just once though, and at the ending scene, he's at a beach. He's kind of like on his knees, and looks over, and across the water, just a small pool of water, he can technically cross and talk to her, but there's this little girl on the other side that he met before, and the little girl is trying to talk to him, and the girl makes these like hand language signs, sign language hand gestures, and obviously because of the water, and because not everybody knows sign language, so the main character says he doesn't understand, and he constantly, at the end, he's trying to understand what the girl is saying, but at the end, the girl's just like, forget it, just go and have your own fun. And even the main character, he doesn't look frustrated. He's just like, oh well, I tried, and he just goes back to that glamour that he came from. And I know, to a certain extent, it's very pretentious. It's obviously trying to say that that little girl is what we all were. We were just these innocent bystanders who saw the glamour in this dark side of the entertainment industry, and we thought we wanted to be a part of it, and we're just trying to communicate with it. And there's this person who used to be that, within that glamour and this society, and he's trying to communicate basically with his past, but he can't. We feel the distance between them, and he realizes basically that it's too late. He's part of this society now, and maybe at the end he kind of accepts it. He's aware of it, but he accepts the fact that he's basically a piece of shit, and he just goes back to where he came from. And it's a very cynical ending, no doubt, but I don't know. I think the movie's really good. Like I said, it doesn't take a side. It basically shows what Fellini does in this movie is that he basically shows you both sides of the argument, and he basically disagrees with both sides at the same time, but he portrays it in such a beautiful way that you just get sucked into it. Because it's so beautiful, Fellini pulls out the hypocrisy in you. And that's just damn good filmmaking. I'm not sure what else I could say. At this point, all I can really say is it's damn good filmmaking, and it's a masterpiece. I can't really. I was surprised at how much I liked it. I knew I was gonna be impressed by it to a certain extent because everybody was saying that it's the greatest movie ever made, or at least the greatest Italian movie ever made, and it's close. It's Fellini. What can you say? So, yeah, La Dolce Vita, masterpiece. But